So today we're talking about the Emperor's Golden Boys, the Adeptus Custodes. These Golden Boys were created to serve as the Emperor's emissaries. They were left on Terra and given the big boy responsibility of protecting the Imperial Palace and the mushy pile of bones that is currently the physical body of the Emperor of Mankind. If a Space Marine is a super soldier, the Adeptus Custodes are considered super duper soldiers, towering at a massive 9 human feet tall in golden armor gifted to them by the Emperor of Mankind himself. They are often regarded as the deadliest warriors in the galaxy. Custodes are basically immortal. They can't really die of old age. They tend to retire when they get to around 500 years old. And that's usually only because they find themselves becoming slower. So sorry to any Custodes out there waiting on their pension. Custodes tend to only really die in combat. The Custodes played more of a vital role in protecting the Emperor before the Horus Heresy, willing to risk their lives to protect him. But after the Horus Heresy, you very rarely see a Custodes off Terra. You very rarely see a Custodes not at the Imperial Palace for that matter. It is a decision made by the Custodes themselves on who can enter the sanctum to where the Emperor is. In the recording here you can see that I'm painting a Custodes Warden Shield Captain. The Shield Captain is a senior rank held by the veterans of the Adeptus Custodes, the elite. There's often speculation that the Custodes were the Emperor's firstborn or if it was the Thunder Warriors, but I mean look at their crest. That looks like lightning, and what comes before thunder? Now you might think the Custodes would get a bit lazy, on the count of how the Emperor isn't really going anywhere at the moment, but they stay very sharp and vigilant by participating in the Blood Games. Now what's the Blood Games, you might ask? Good question. The Blood Games is a ritualistic exercise in where the Custodians test the palace defences. They volunteer themselves and try and get to the Emperor. This is a good exercise as it can show where they may need to improve and it keeps them all on their toes. I started out by basing my Custodes in Retributor armour. I know you can get a primer of Retributor armour from Citadel, which I may look into if I paint any more Custodes. Custodes tend to have a bit of a dislike into the Primarchs. Maybe it's like a jealous older brother kind of thing. Custodes' names are very interesting. In the 40k lore, the Custodes' names aren't given to them, but they're earned. They can be earned through many different ways, like through their great deeds or through their contemplation and knowledge. Custodes' names aren't really publicly spoken either. They tend to be engraved inside their chestplate as like a secret testament to their individual worth. The Custodes' names are often very lengthy and intricate, reflecting their unique status and the depth of their service to the Emperor of Mankind. Once I was finished basing this in Retributor armour, I went over with a layer shade of Reichland Flesh Shade. A fun and interesting fact I found out about the Custodes is they aren't just mindless bodyguard killing machines, they're actually very creative artsy types. It's not like their go-to hobby is creating a beautiful painting or writing poetry, but I mean if they wanted to, they could. Once the Reichland Flesh Shade had dried, I went over with a quick dry brush just to pop out those highlights. And then it was on to painting the cape and the plume in a nice Mephiston red. But just when the Custodes thought their job got a whole lot easier with Mr. Slushy Emperor Man, Mr. Ultramarine himself, Mr. Robot Gillyweed, started to send them out into the galaxy to be involved with more galactic affairs. Another interesting fact about the Custodes when it comes to the tabletop game. Custodes players are absolute chads. I mean, look at Exhibit A. Adeptus Custodians are trained as some of the best melee fighters, so therefore you usually see them with the following weapons: Guardian Spears, Storm Shields, and Sentinel Blades. I'm currently painting one with a Castellan Axe. A Castellan Axe is a variant of the Guardian Spear that incorporates a heavier axe blade rather than the spear tip. As a bit of a newbie to painting, this is my favourite part, applying Nuln Oil onto your mini. I put this on some of the areas like the red where I've put the cape, and then on the axe as well to just get those darker shades.
Nice.
Once the Emperor was reduced to a decaying pile of bones by Horus, the Custodes actually felt great shame in this. They felt as if they'd let the Emperor down and hadn't done their job properly. According to rogue trader lore, some of them even stripped themselves of their armor purely to mourn the Emperor. Once the Nuln oil had dried, I then started to add in just some fine details on the axe, the eyes, and on Custodes' armor they have like little gems. I decided to use a nice Thunderhawk blue for this with a tiny dash of white. Typically Custodes are seen with red capes, but I've seen people do all sorts of colour schemes. One that I even thought was really cool, it was a purple themed Custodes where all their plume and capes were purple. And here is the finished product, my Adeptus Custodes Shield Captain. Anyways, I've been really enjoying painting some Custodes recently and then finding out a lot more about their lore. If you have any interest in facts or lore about the Custodes, or if there's anything that I've gotten completely wrong, please do feel free to let me know in the comments below, and also let me know who I should do a video on next.